When I'm ready to start stitching my felt monster together, I like to first pick a place where I know I can stuff my monster pretty easily. So for me, I'm going to leave this space open so that I can easily stuff the monster, and then afterwards I can stitch it back up. So I'm going to start right about where this hand is. Now I don't want to see the knot that I have here. So in order to sort of hide that, I'm going to start by going inside my two pieces of felt and then come up just through the one first. So I think for mine, I'm going to come right here and then pull it until that knot hits the back. By doing that, I'm making sure that that knot right here stays on the inside and we don't see it. Now, you can do a couple different kinds of stitches for the outside of your monster along the edges. For mine, I'm going to choose whip stitch, but you could definitely do back stitch or running stitch as long as they are close together. If they're too far apart, then you'll be able to see the stuffing or the filling coming out of the sides, and you don't want that. So for whip stitch, all you're doing is you're constantly sort of looping around the sides. So I came up here, I'm going to make sure I go through both pieces, and then I'm going to come back up like this, and then pull it all the way until it's tight and it's wrapped around. And that's basically all that it is. Each time I do the whip stitch, I'm coming up from the bottom and then coming up through both pieces and trying to keep them pretty evenly spaced out. If I have them with different spacing, then it looks a lot messier. I also want to make sure they're equidistant from the edge. I have these ones pretty similarly to the edge. If I put one right here, for example, it's going to look really strange. It's going to wrap too far around. So just be careful that you're trying to keep them the same distance from the edge. So I'm going to go ahead and work on that. When you see that your string is getting a little bit shorter, you need to stop. You can't keep stitching because otherwise you can't tie a knot. So what I'm going to do now is that when I go to make my next stitch, instead of going through both pieces, I'm going to go through just one. And that's going to ensure that where I tie my knot is going to be on the inside where people can't see it. So I'm going to make a knot in here as close to the felt as I can, so that we keep our craftsmanship nice and neat. Once I have that there, then I can cut it off a little bit closer and I can continue stitching with a new piece of thread. Now you can get the same color that you've already used, or you can get one that's brand new. So for mine, I've actually chosen to go with a brand new color just to switch it up a little bit, but you're more than welcome to keep with the same color that you were before. Once we've gone all the way around our monster and left a little space open to fill, then we can start actually filling our monster. So for that, I'm just going to take small pieces off at a time. And I especially want to try to reach those smaller crevices like up here in his antenna or in his arms. For the things I can't reach, I'm going to be using a pencil. and I'm just going to try to stuff it using the pencil so that it can actually have a little bit of filler back there. So that's part of the reason why it's really important when you do fill this that you leave enough space for your filler to go inside. So make sure that your stitches are close to the edges there. So I'm going to go ahead and stuff this so it's not too full, but it's also not too flat, I suppose. Once you've got a good amount of stuffing in here and it's pretty fluffy evenly around, then we can start to close this up. So just like before, I'm only going to go inside of here, just that we don't see the knot. And then I'm going to continue with my whip stitch to close up my monster. All right, when you're totally finished, we're just going to double check that we don't see the filler peeking out anywhere here. And then I'm going to tie a knot on the back. So since my string is up here on the front, I'm just gonna go back through my fabric down to this side. And I'm going to just tie a really small knot right over here and then cut it off since I can't go inside of my monster this time. And I really want to be careful to make sure that this is as close to the felt as I can, because I don't want it to be loose. If it looks like it's a little bit too far, I'm just going to do it again and do a second knot. Okay. All right. And then I'm going to make sure it's very tight so it doesn't come undone. Cut close to it, but not too close. And then I'm finished with my felt monster.